Hi there, this is Mrs. Molina, and I'm going to be talking to you today about DNA structure and replication. So let's go ahead and title our notes, DNA structure and replication. Okay. Structure is what it's made up of. Replication or replicate means to make a copy of. So let's start off with our main molecule here, which is called DNA. Okay, that is an abbreviation for a big long word that you can sound really smart if you learn what it stands for. It's deoxy. D means without oxygen. Ribo, that's for the type of sugar called ribose. And then we should already know that it is a nucleic acid. Okay, so this is where we get the D, the N, and the A from in DNA. And what this is basically, it is genetic material that carries information, important information, about an organism from one generation to the next. Okay, DNA is very, very important for telling ourselves what to do and how to do it and when to do it. Okay, speaking about going from one generation to the next, you actually inherited, that means it was passed down to you, half of your DNA from your mom, and the other half of your DNA, that's an and, from dad. That's why you don't look exactly like your mom or your dad. All right, so where do we find DNA? Hopefully you already know the answer to this, okay? But DNA is found, okay, inside the nucleus. Okay. And in we can say multiple words here. We could say chromatin, we could use the word chromosome, or chromatid. All of those are essentially the same thing, just in different forms, okay? Now let me go back and add just a little bit of color here to highlight some important information, okay? I'm gonna put a box around my DNA and make these a little more colorful there. Okay. And let me also highlight DNA again here. It's found inside the nucleus and in the chromatin, chromosome, or chromatid. It's all wound up inside there. So what does DNA look like? Okay. A DNA molecule, remember it is a molecule, it's a nucleic acid. Okay, that's one of those 4 biomolecules that we talked about at the beginning of the school year. Remember we had carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and then we also had our nucleic acids. Okay, so the DNA molecule looks like a twisted rope ladder. Oops, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, which is made up of units called nucleotides. Nucleotides. Okay, and I'm going to add a little bit of color to make sure you know that that's a very important word, and we'll talk about what that is. We're also going to draw a picture of what DNA looks like here at the bottom of our notes in just a minute, so that will help give you a visual. Okay, each nucleotide is made up of three parts. Okay. The first part is a 5-carbon sugar. Okay, and this is where sugar is called deoxyribose. Okay. The second part of a nucleotide is a phosphate group. Oops, that's an O. Phosphate. And we usually represent that as a P with a circle around it. Okay, in reality it would be a P with hydrogen and hydrogen and hydrogen and a bond here. Okay. And the third and probably most important part of the nucleotide is the nitrogen base. Okay. There are 4 different bases. Oops. 4 different, that's a BASES. There's adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. All right, let me go back and add a little bit of color here. So with our nucleotide, again, we have 3 parts. We have the 5-carbon sugar, we have the phosphate, and we have the base. And there are 4 different bases. We have adenine, which we represent with an A, thymine we represent with a T, guanine we represent with a G, and cytosine we represent with a C. All right, so I told you we'd draw a picture kind of what DNA looks like, but first let's look more at a nucleotide. Okay, so the sugar, okay, it's a 5-carbon sugar. Okay, and we can put a D in there for deoxyribose. That is going to be bonded to a phosphate. And then this sugar is also bonded to a base. And I'm just going to pick, we're going to call this one adenine. Okay, so this piece right here, move it over so you can see, this is what we call a nucleotide, all 3 of those pieces together. Okay, but if I want to continue to make DNA, I have to continue on with my ladder, so we're going to need another phosphate, and this would just continue on and on. Okay, attached to another sugar, attached to another base, and this time I'll choose cytosine. Oops, I misspelled that. That should be an S-I-N-E. Okay? Now, DNA is double-stranded, which means that it's got 2 sides to it. I've only drawn 1 strand right now, so I'm going to go ahead and draw the other side of my DNA, and I'm going to draw it with the matching base pair. So adenine is always going to pair up with the base thymine. And cytosine is always going to pair up with the base guanine. Okay. Now this side would also have, this would be attached to your sugar, which is attached to, or has a phosphate attached to it. We have another phosphate here. Okay, sugar, like so. And again, this would just keep on going down, but we are out of room. Okay, but I'm going to make a note over here on the side. Note. Okay. Adenine only pairs with thymine. Okay, and guanine only pairs with cytosine. I'm going to put a yellow bubble around that because that is really important. This is known as the base pairing rule. Okay, so, and I'm going to add just a little color here so that we can remember what this looks like. So adenine, I'm going to underline my adenine the same color. I chose purple, and that goes with thymine. They always pair up together. They're buddies. Okay, so in the DNA molecule, you will always see adenine and thymine paired together. All right, let me grab another color here. I'm going to grab orange for cytosine. You can use whatever colors you want. The colors are not really important in terms of DNA doesn't really have color to it. And then I'll choose pink. Okay. But again, color just helps us remember the concepts a little bit better. Okay. So there's just a basic structure of DNA. Now I'm going to need to go on to the back side of my page in order to have enough room. If you have room on your page, feel free to keep going. And we've got just, you probably need about 6 or 7 more lines. Okay. Get a clean piece of paper here. All right, so now we're going to look at more specifically DNA replication. Again, that means the copying of DNA. So I'm going to title this section DNA replication. Okay. And let's just write a few notes here. During DNA replication, a DNA molecule, we say unzips, so it breaks apart between its, I did not need that apostrophe, its paired bases. Okay. Nucleotides move in and pair up with bases on both sides of the DNA strand. Okay. Forming 2 identical DNA strands. And we'll get some practice with this so it may make a little more sense rather than just writing it in words. Let's make sure we understand or emphasize that we get identical and we get 2 of them. Okay. All right, so let's take just a second to kind of draw what this might look like. So DNA, we said it kind of looks like a twisted rope ladder. Okay, let me see if I can do my best to draw this here. Not a great artist, but I will do my best. Okay, and then here we're going to see some separation. So here I have my twisted rope ladder. Here's where it's going to start separating. And like so. All right, so then we got to We got to get our bases in here, and I'm going to use the same colors I used before. So I would have, this was my adenine, okay, and it pairs with what? It always pairs with thymine. And the way I remember that, okay, is that A and T, you make those with straight lines, or you can think of it, A and T is the only word that we can make out of those 4 letters, A, T, C, and G. So with the word at, so A and T go together, and then C and G go together because they've got, they're both made with curvy lines. Let me bring my old notes back here real quick. So C and G go together, A and T always go together. Just kind of a quick way to remember. All right. So I'm just kind of picking at random. I'm going to add some cytosine here, and across from that I would have guanine. So I'm going to, rather than flipping markers every time, I'm just going to go ahead and make some random bases here. Let's see. There we go. Let me go ahead and draw what this other strand would kind of look like as it's coming in. And this one's going to kind of look something like, and I didn't draw that very well. I need more room. Okay, so these are, let me move this over here. These are 2 new strands of DNA that are being made as DNA replicates. Okay, so everywhere I put a purple, I'm going to go back and put a red across from it. These are going to be kind of separated, and I should have not made this go all the way across. Same thing here. I didn't do a very good job with that. Okay, and then we're going to add some cytosines in here. Let's make this one come from this side, and like so, and here and here. We'll add one there and one there. And across from it we always have our guanine. And that would kind of fit right there. There we go. All right, so that's kind of a quick little model of DNA replication. If you have any questions, please be sure to ask me. And DNA replication and the structure of DNA is a pretty simple concept. Hope you guys understand. Thank you.